Welcome back, everyone, to another video from Movies and TVs on the Ball. My name is Steve, your host, and with me is always
Jay.
and we are finally getting to the fourth chapter in the John Wick quadrilogy, John Wick Chapter 4. We've been promising, and now we're delivering. And I have to say this, Jay, John Wick Chapter 4 is long.
It is long.
Um, and there was a lot to go in, and I was watching it and I was kind of trying to like, who's this guy, who's this, but so let's go through so the new cast that's in this film is that's joining Keanu Reeves is you have Donnie Yang, who you know from he was the Diamond's face guy in Die Another Day, who's the main villain in Die Another Day, and he was also one of the racers in the Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
And then you had uh, Clancy Brown, who's the voice of Mr. Krabs,
Right.
and he's also done work in Earth 2 and I
Like you
think
mentioned, Starship
yeah, I
Troopers.
think he's in Starship Troopers as well. And then you also have hiya Georgie, Bill Skarsgård, who I know as Pennywise
Right.
from the recent movies, the recent It movies. He plays the
Marquee.
Marquis, and he's kind of the main antagonist
Right.
this in this film. Um, so so if you remember at the end of John Wick Chapter 3,
Right.
John Wick is
Shot by Winston,
shot by Winston,
and he falls off the building.
falls off the building, and then
Bowery
the
King
Bowery King or
jumps
some
in.
no guy brings him to the Bowery King,
Right.
and John Wick, and he's like, um, and so where we end up is John Wick is in the Bowery King's lair, and he's been kind of training and
Right.
getting himself back into
It's like we're sort of like at the
shape.
very end of the montage of him sort of getting back
Yeah,
in
so it
shape.
does kind of have a real kind of like, I like the fact that I guess with the John Wick films, they're chapters,
Right.
and it does feel like you can watch
Y-
chapter one, two, three, and four back to back for
Right.
the most part.
Yeah. You sort of could sit there because they sort of like tie like right after the
Right
other
after
ones.
it,
Right.
I felt a little bit kind of trying to remember stuff that happened in three, just so I could kind
Right.
of pick up. Um, but so he is with the Bowery King. He's boxing and fighting, or he's kind of training to get back
Right.
into it. Then we kind of cut to Winston, played by Ian McShane, and um, Monte what's the
Yeah. So he gets visited by
the Marquis,
the Harbinger, and
the Harbinger and the Marquis
right.
show up, which is Clancy Brown's character,
Right.
and they ask where John.
But yeah, they sort
Because
of yeah, because since John goes off and kills the high table
high
leader,
table
they
leader
sort
from
of
the
blow up his
third one,
hotel.
they blow up his hotel,
Right.
and since they blow up his hotel, uh, he's been attached to John. When they know Winston's attached to John.
Right. And they kill his concierge. I
Concierge
forget his name.
is which is uh oh, it's James. It's Reddick, not Reddick, but uh, Lance Reddick, who's played Charlone, and I think this was his Charon, Charona, and I think this was his last film that he did.
Okay.
So which I don't know if they killed him off just because they probably he passed away or
Yeah, I'm
if
not
it's
sure.
just part of the story. Anyway, so they kill him off, and then they blow up the
The New
concierge,
York Continental.
The New York Continental, which I swear it's the same building they use for the Daily Bugle in Spider-Man.
Right.
So that's kind of you know that's kind of I was like, wait a minute, that looks like the Daily Bugle. So anyway, So they blow up the building, and I like how. What's your thoughts on? I guess let's go through the plot, then we'll get into
Okay.
it. So they blow up the building. After they blow up the building,
Then we sort of cut to Japan to the Osaka Continental.
Osaka Continental,
Right.
and the Osaka Continental has is it? I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Oh, Shimizu Kazu. Shimizu Kazu, played by Hushaka Sandra, who was in The Last Samurai and 47 Ronin.
Okay.
Um, he is the, and I really like the color of the um, Japanese, the Tokyo's continental Tokyo.
Right.
It has a really good kind of. So John, so they kind of say there, as always, there's no business going to be
On continental
on the
ground.
continental grounds, and
Then the Marquis men sort of show up, and then there's sort of just a big firefight.
firefight. Oh yeah, so let's talk about the fight,
Okay.
or I guess we'll go to the plot and then we'll.
Yeah, it's up to you. Do you want to talk about the fight now, or just sort of say there's a fight?
So there's a fight, and what I liked about the fight is, well, there's a couple things, is they um you just the fight was pretty cool.
Right. I guess the sort of twist they have now is the people from the Japan Continental have bows and arrows,
Bows and
and
arrows, yeah, yeah,
swords.
swords and stuff, and so
Right.
John's like shooting people, and then he picks up a sword. Did he pick up a sword?
Yeah. At some point, he does pick
He
up sword.
picks up
Yeah.
a sword and he starts like they do some sword fighting,
Right.
and then there's like these sumo wrestler guys that are like bodyguards,
And then they
and
have
he
like sort of like the SWAT team that from the
SWAT team
third
that
one
comes.
shows up again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. From the third one shows up again, and I
Yeah.
really liked the fight. I thought it
Yeah.
was really cool and um
Then
a
they have like the
really
room
good
full of
detail.
glass
And then we've got
and
another room full of
nunchucks.
glass, and I love the fact that he did, and like he's in a room full of glass, and then he's followed by Donnie Yang,
Right.
and Donnie Yang is the blind assassin, right?
Yeah. He has a sword cane,
He has a
but his
sword cane, yeah,
his name is Kane.
cane, and so he he basically has this fight, and it kind of reminds me of the fight in three. Did it kind of remind
A little
in
bit,
the
yeah.
glass?
Because there seemed to be a theme of like a bunch of glass and breaking, throwing people through glass. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. And so it did kind of remind me of three, but it was a little bit different because we saw a lot more like sword fighting.
Right. Um, and so I guess Kane ends up killing his friend, the manager of the Osaka Continental.
Osaka Continental, who is played, and so he is so he's killed by him, and then
John sort of escapes, sort of on like I don't, it's probably like a subway system, and then he sort of winds his way back to New York to talk with Winston.
right.
And then Winston tells him he might be able to get out of this by challenging
Challenging
the Marquis to a
Marquis to the
duel.
duel. So then they kind of line up the duel, and it's
What?
got the Marquis. Is Marquis, which ones? So they got Clancy Brown
Right.
is the Marquis, right?
No, that's the Harbinger.
The Harbinger sets up the duel
Right.
with John Wick and the Marquis, Bill Skarsgård. So then they have like a gunfight, and it's kind of like this old standoff kind of gun where they have to go like 6 paces or 20 paces,
30
30
paces.
paces, and 30 paces, and they walk. Um, and I like the look of it because it's right next to the Eiffel Tower.
Like the it's a church. I forget the church's name.
Was it? Yeah, it's near a church, but it's kind of on the. It's in France,
Right. Paris.
and Paris, France, and they're walking, and they got to do this pacing, and then he shoots him, or Skarsgård shoots him in the
Well,
arm.
yeah, well, Skarsgård gets Kane to fight for him.
Oh, Kane, yeah, and so
Right,
okay, Skarsgård gets Kane to fight for him, and so he's sitting there, and then Kane shoots John in the arm,
right.
and um,
And they sort of take like 10 spaces closer, and they shoot again. Um, and they're both like I think John gets hit in the shoulder, and Kane gets hit in the gut.
hits and
They
got
take
right
another 10 paces forward.
10 paces forward. Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, that's right. And then I kind of and I thought that was a pretty cool. Just the scenery was pretty cool in that scene.
Right.
Um, and I like the so they do that. Then John, so the
So they take like they get up to like 10 paces from each other,
right,
and then sort of Kane shoots John in the gut, and then John doesn't fire, and he sort of falls to the ground.
right. That's right. And
Right.
then
The Marquis
the
like, let
mark
me give like the finishing blow, the coup de grace, the finishing blow.
will finish the final finish him.
And then Winston's like, "You fool!
Boom,
He didn't never shot." And
shot.
then
Yeah,
John shoots him in the head.
John shoots him in the head, and then that's
And so that sort of frees Kane from
from
the table and frees John, and it sort of lets Winston get back control of the New York
the New York,
hotel.
New York Road. So it is kind of. I feel like this. I think the plot seemed a little bit more. You feel like it was a little bit more digestible, like
Uh,
in some ways.
Maybe it's still somewhat
I mean,
because they're trying to like add this whole like mystery element of like the high tables, like rituals and stuff. Like
yeah.
somewhat,
I mean, if you took that out, would you probably feel like it was a pretty
somewhat, yeah,
Yeah, I kind of what I liked about this movie is I like the fact I think the style. There's something about the John Wick films. You can watch them and they have sort of a certain style, but each of them have sort of a different flavor.
right,
You know, you look at the first one, and the first one is um, mild manner John Wick. You know, his wife dies, and then you find out he's an assassin.
right,
And then they kind of build on I think the second one really worked really well
right,
as sort of a real, like one was a launching pad, two really was solid. Three I felt like got a little bit crazy,
right. It did.
but four, I thought four was a pretty. It felt like a conclusion, but also we could see where it could be going after this.
Maybe, well, he does die in the end, so I don't know.
You know, well, he could come back from the grave, but I mean, it could be a fourth. I think
A
four
RoboCop.
RoboCop kind of thing. I like this one. I mean, it was a little bit confusing. And it could also be maybe if we marathon the first all four of them,
Right,
it would probably make sense. But I like this one. Um, I think the style is still there.
right.
Like especially the the communicado, the
Oh, like they had just sort of like a radio station
radio station
in the
that
Eiffel Tower.
at the Eiffel Tower,
Right,
kind of remind me of the in the first one when they have the telephone, but
right,
it's like kind of that old school like connecting you to this.
right.
That kind of I like how they kind of blended that in. I like Clancy Brown's character. I thought he really was a really good villain, but the was a really good sort of kind of character to Bill Skarsgård. I think Bill Skarsgård's character Marquis had a more impression on me than probably the villain in John Wick Chapter 2. Do you think?
Uh, yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah,
he had more of a
they were
presence.
they were pretty similar though.
You
Like
kind of would you like
sort of like evil. You know,
ha ha ha
I think that's where sort of they had to mix up because they had sort of like they're saying like Winston confronted I think the guy in two in an art gallery, and I think that sort of happens again in this one.
this one, yeah. So it does kind of play with that. Do you think that John Wick Chapter 4, if you would rank them, which one do you think? Or like, I guess before we go, how would you rate John Wick Chapter 4 from a scale from 1 to, or like my, like 1 to 100, like where in the grading scale, like between 1 and 100 would you rate it? I guess as an action film before we look at it as part of the series.
Gotcha. I'll give it a 74.
74.
Yeah.
As an action film, I give it, I'd probably say a 78, 76, somewhere in the same. Maybe I think it's not as fresh as the original. I think the original was just so,
Right.
and I think if you're playing, but it builds on the world. Maybe I'll give it maybe higher, maybe a 79. So I'm probably in with you, kind of. I think it wasn't. I didn't think it was as, it kind of wrapped everything up, so it didn't really feel like, um it wrapped up everything, so it did feel kind of like it was the end of the quadrilogy. Like it
Right.
did feel like a solid quadrilogy. Do I think we could see a fifth one? Probably, but that's pushing it, don't you think?
Right. Well, I think because they came out with like the prequels, might probably be the way they're gonna go. I think.
Yeah, I think they had the Continental, which is like on Peacock.
I didn't know that.
It's like
Okay.
a TV series.
Okay. I think they
Uh,
had something like the ballerina or
the
something.
Ballerina, which I think is like a spin-off more.
Okay.
And but I think he shows up in John Wick shows up in the Ballerina.
Right, because that happens in the past, right?
Right, yeah. And I think this one was pretty good. I mean I don't I think I really do feel like the first one was so original for
Yeah.
what it is, that I feel like the first one was the best one, but this is a pretty good one. Its style is a little bit different than three. Like I can, it's with these series, with the John Wick series, there is sort of a, like you can tell the difference between one, two, and three and four. Like, I mean, as a series.
Right.
So I like this film. I think it worked really well.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite action sequence?
Uh, Probably the sword fights were pretty cool.
Gotcha.
Especially kind of that kind of brought me back to that kung fu, Japan film kind of genre of film.
Right.
And then I kind of liked the it wasn't as, I think I think it really, that was that scene. What was yours kind of?
Ooh, I don't know. Um, Maybe there's that one where he's trying to get to the dual location where it's like they sort of move the camera up through like this abandoned building. It sort of like looks like a dollhouse
Yeah,
as
yeah,
he's
yeah,
running
yeah, yeah.
around with like his flame shotgun.
The flame shotgun was pretty cool. I did,
Right.
yeah, yeah. That reminds me of that. Um,
I think this is something I guess that I don't know if they did in the other movies before.
well, I think its style was a little bit different. Um, I really liked the
I think this one was the longest one. Like he didn't get hit by a car
no, we
until like
didn't.
2.5 hours in.
Yeah, so there's something about that. It did. I feel like it. I think this film felt like it lacked in. I feel like it had a pretty strong story, but I think the action was there. I think it was a good, like, if it ended here and we never saw a fifth one, because I'm always one of those people that says one, two, three is fine with me. Four through five, you know.
Right.
But I think this one did a really good film, and I like the. I thought it was. I thought it worked pretty good. I don't work pretty good, but I thought it was uh pretty. It had a pretty good scene, and I'd probably give it. I think it's a strong fourth part four, for it feels like it could be a conclusion, but it also feels like it could go more over. So I would probably say that would be my look at John Wick Chapter 4. I give it, pretty solid. I guess what do we give it the letter grade?
Uh, I'd give it a B.
B. I give it a B too.
Okay.
I still think one is probably the best one.
Yeah, I think one and two are pretty good in my book,
Pretty
and then
good. Three,
three and four are not. I don't know.
they're all right, but they're not great. So yeah. So that's our look at John Wick Chapter 4. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. As always, keep the comments civil as best you can. And let us know what would you like Jay and I to cover next. I guess next up will probably be,
This is the Mask of Zorro.
I think the Mask of Zorro is on our list with Antonio Banderas. This is going to be sort of a second part to my look at Zorro from the 1963 Disney show. So, out of the night when the moon is bright, John Wick is back with Zorro. Guys, take it easy. I'm Steve, and as always, I'm with,
Jay.
and see you at the movies. Bye.